exactly is biophilic design? I feel like it's been popping up a lot, and it's kind of like this ambiguous term that is just like anything that's like kind of plant-like. But is there like a more concrete definition or
Well, I mean, depending on who you talk with, you're going to get different definitions. On a macro level, it's just the inclusion of natural elements and nature inspirations into architecture design.
are there any specific design details that you've been seeing a lot in the past year or so that are kind of like a biophilic design or pattern?
Well, what I've been seeing the most and embracing the most is the inclusion of actual plants in home spaces. And there's been this huge plant craze even before the pandemic, but with people shut up in their homes, I think that really accelerated it. So we're seeing different ways to incorporate plants in different places in your home. For example, going to the kitchen and bath trade shows over the years, you're seeing cabinetry include holders for plants with lighting systems and watering systems. You're seeing them show up on islands. You're seeing at big box retailers just new ways to have grow plants on your island, on your windowsill. We're seeing the expansion of primary bathrooms, the main bathroom associated with the main bedroom of a house, into outdoor showers with plant life to give it that feeling of I'm showering in a rainforest. And of course, with the pandemic, people looking at eating healthier, you're seeing growing microgreens and herbs and vegetables and fruits. So that's, I think, been the strongest trend that I've seen over the last year or two.
You touched on the intersection of wellness design and this biophilic design. So, what are some of those elements that overlap, and how would incorporating biophilic design potentially increase the homeowner's health?
Well, let's take, for example, a study that was done a few years back that said people who see nature, like a hospital room with a view out to a nature courtyard, will heal faster and with fewer pain medications and have less stress than someone who's looking out at just a wall. So we know that views onto nature have health benefits. So if you're remodeling your home, you can then orient, say, a window seat that will look out on nature. You can position your furniture in a way that you have that maximum enjoyment. Let's say you're not remodeling, but you want to enhance your home just with an update because maybe two people at home are now working there instead of just one person working from home. Then you can position your desk in such a way that you can look out the window whenever you need a stress break to look out on the trees, plants, flowers, whatever is there. So that would be an example of just the links between looking at nature and your home. But let's say you are in a completely urban environment. You don't even have that opportunity. Then you can bring in pictures of nature that inspire you, representations of nature, whether it's a photo collection from your trip last year to the beach, or maybe it's a mountain that inspires you that you want to climb next year. Whatever it is that speaks to you in the natural world, having a representation of it in a photograph and a painting and a sketch will also have some biophilic benefits. And of course, enhance your home's look. And you can go further than that, again, with patterns, with textures, with materials. I grew up I had a summer home growing up, and nearby were a lot of birch trees. And I've always loved birch because it reminds me of the beauty of those trees. And when I see things that evoke that, that just makes me smile. So I like to incorporate that. And I've seen beautiful textured laminates that look like birch trees, for example, but give you the durability and practicality of a well-made laminate.
Do you have any other suggestions for patterns or textures that you've seen? I know I've been seeing some like almost biophilic tile designs that are have been popping up with just even murals almost.
Tile, it's done in tile, it's done in wallpaper, it's done in fabrics. So it really depends upon the space that you're designing and what makes sense for it practically speaking. But those are all different ways that it's showing up. We're also seeing appliances. There are companies that are giving you the ability to print any pattern you want on the front of a range, say, or a refrigerator. So you can have your kitchen appliances be nature inspired as well. So that's now available. Personalization again is a big trend, and since so many people love nature, we're seeing that show up.
So, how do you think would be the best way for remodelers to incorporate biophilic elements into their design without it being overwhelming? Because, sometimes you can't have everything be biophilic, that'd be just
Right.
a lot, unless maybe if that's what the homeowner really wants. But
And it comes down to if everything is a focal point, then nothing is a focal point, right? I think it's up to the remodeler to really get a good feel for what their clients value. And of course, that all starts with that communication, both before accepting a project and when you're beginning. And to find out about their life, what colors do they love? What colors do energize them? What colors calm them? And you could build that in with paint pretty easily. If somebody says, I adore living by the ocean, that really speaks to me. You can get some ideas on, this paint color would be great for your primary bathroom, for example. It's going to calm you. This, is a great color for a sunny space where you want to feel energized in the morning. You could talk to them about how technology might have a benefit to them. Things like circadian lighting, where they can have that feel of the sun following through the day, warming up later on. So all of those come from, again, knowing your client, communicating with your client. You could build it in with easy things like, again, paint is probably the easiest. But then also, flooring materials, what trees really speak to them that would also work with their lifestyle. And what stones speak to them, and do you want that to be a natural stone, or do you want it to be an engineered stone or a porcelain slab that might be easier, more family friendly?
you mentioned the circadian rhythm. I think that that's kind of an interesting point that people don't always think of right away when they think of biophilic design. You think of plants and everything, but even that unseen um, aspect of nature can be incorporated into a design.
And we see when the clocks fall back in autumn, you're seeing more seasonal affective depression come on. And so we know that light therapy can make a difference. And of course, sunlight, and as much as you can bring in views with skylights or windows or solar tubes or human-centric lighting, circadian lighting, can all help mood and energy and sleep.
So, in terms of biophilic design, it's not anything necessarily new. It's been around for quite a while, and I think everybody's always, there's always been some sort of market for more nature-inspired designs. But I've definitely noticed an uptick in the last couple of months or so. When did you start seeing that rise in biophilic design, and how long do you think it'll continue?
Well, I think it started in the healthcare field a while back, and I can't say exactly what year. But I think as we've been wrestling with our homes and our health, it really accelerated everything to do with wellness design, including this aspect. Anyone who has had access to their own private outdoor space is like king of the hill right now, because they can step outside and still feel safe, and uncrowded, and have that nature, element. And I think a lot of other people look at, well, how can I have that for myself? I don't have a balcony, I don't have a yard, but I can bring plants indoors. I can eat more plant-based food. for my health and well-being. So I think the pandemic has accelerated everything, and that is just one aspect that's enjoyed new interest and visibility as a result. But as you pointed out, it's been around for a while. There are people who have trees growing up in their patios that they built around. So, it's not new.
But do you think that this trend will continue even past, the vaccines are rolling out and, knock on wood, we might be looking at a return to the normal times, within maybe the year and a half. But do you think that this might extend past that?
I do, and I'm seeing what crosses my desk all the time, and probably yours, are professional surveys among architects, among remodelers and builders of what they're working on, and these are longer term, trends. So yes, we're seeing builders look at how they can incorporate more private outdoor space. They're looking. One of the trend surveys said that home offices are big. The placement next to an outdoor space is something that they're getting a lot of requests for. So somebody can sit at their desk and step out into their patio or their yard. So I do expect to see it continue. I think one of the things that we've realized this past year is that while this is certainly the most dramatic pandemic that most of us have experienced, I don't think anyone thinks it's going to be the last one. And I think people want to feel more prepared and more confident that if we have something else like this in the next 5, 10, 20 years, that we're in a better position and not caught unawares as we were last year. So I do think that you're going to see it reflected in architectural and building and remodeling trends for the foreseeable future.